Here we go. All 5 lights are on. Lights out, away we go for a slow start here in these rainy conditions. It looks like our driver's up at the front. Beck, we have a little that timing glitch, but it looks like the 2 Red Bulls are going to be going side by side into turn 1. Around the outside, Puppet Master is not able to hold the lead and is going to run wide. They're going to challenge Larkin down into turn 3. He can't do it, though. That running out wide just cost him some time. So Larkin getting the best of Puppet Master off the grid and is going to be leading this Grand Prix. Looking down the rest of the field, tough to tell about positions. We have some drivers going side by side. One of the Ferraris is going side by side with somebody. We have this timing glitch that makes it so hard to figure out exactly what's happening, but up at the front, I do believe it is Larkin now, who has been able to jump things. If this is correct, JXW's got an incredible start, gained 5 positions, as has Packer. RC, to tell if he's lost or gained positions, but looking down, it is the Ferrari of Ted. Looks like he's lost his front wing as well. Larkin up at the front, leading comfortably. Or as comfortable as you can be when your teammates behind in P2, Puppet Master. Looking down, it is Zuidema who has been able to hold position on lap 1. Dylan just gained that 1 position, I think, on Zamaglis, who's dropped a couple here on lap 1. Don't know. He did not have a very great start. We have a VSC as Ted has retired from the session, so it looks like he must have had trouble getting going once he had that spin. Maybe that damage and lack of front wing just caused him to go into the wall, but we're going to get a VSC. This can be a good or bad thing for these drivers. Tough to get tire temperature at all in rainy conditions like this. Those first couple laps are usually so hard for tire temperature, and that VSC is just going to continue to make that challenging. As we have Jinnit, it looks like, in the Mercedes, who's gone around on traction, so I don't know if he was trying to what happened there at the end of that VSC period. It looks like he's going now, but it looks like he's lost both of his end plates, and he is going to be struggling here. He's going to have to limp all the way back around to the pits and make a pit stop. Tough to tell what's going to happen with the rain. If the rain is here for the whole race, drivers probably are only going to be wanting to stop once. We've seen that before in the Tier 1 North America tier on Mondays. At Austria, we had a wet weather race, and it was just a 1-stop right in the middle of the race. So if it's going to be these sort of intermediate light rain conditions, drivers are really going to only want to stop once. The no stop, especially here around Hungary, the no stop on the inters is not going to, it's just not going to work. The tires won't do it. At least I don't think. I could be proven wrong, as I have been before. Larkin does set the fastest lap of the race so far, but was quickly beaten by Zuidema. So he's trying to close that up. Looking down the rest of the field, like I said, it's a track that's difficult to follow even in the best of circumstances, but in these rainy conditions it's going to be even harder. Fuzz is about that, just within closing up to that half a second gap. Really, half a second is where you need to be to have any hopes of making an overtake. Down the straight still should be probably the best chance. It's going to be even more important to get a really good exit, but up at the front, Puppet Master's just dropped off a little bit. Looks like he has doesn't have any damage or anything. Yeah, his front wing looks good going through there, as RC picks up a time penalty. Looking down the rest of the field, J. Cole, who will be talked about, is in that championship hunt, has gained 5 positions, so a really good start from him. I'm starting from the back of the grid. Our reserve is for this race, remember, is Packer, so right now J. Cole is in 10th place as far as we are considered right now. It looks like Fuzz has gone out, so don't know what happened with Fuzz. These wet weather conditions catching some drivers out already, and Fuzz is one of them. So it looks like his front wing is okay. It might have just been a spin. Tough to tell. Jinnit, as we saw earlier, has spun and gone around, lost some front wing. Not sure if that was with somebody else. He has since pitted and replaced that front wing, so he will be looking to go long into this race and take advantage of any other safety car or VSC that might happen. Up at the front, Larkin continuing to lead by about that second gap, so he looks comfortable in these wet weather conditions. Remember, he qualified P2, was able to get Puppet Master off the line down into turn 1, and just did enough to hold him off going into turn, I think it's turn 3, that left-hander, I'm not sure, but that big left-hand hairpin at the in the middle of sector 1 there. He did a good job there, just like I said, covering it off, as we have Jinnit, who looks like he's gone around again, and it looks like he might have another end plate off. So wherever that's that corner at the end of sector 2, that right-hander, seems to be the one giving some people some trouble. As now that's the second driver in as many laps to go off there. And Jinnit looks like he might have spun again on his way in. Yeah, tough race for him so far. Just as the leaders are starting to come up to him, so he's going to have to be careful to get out of the way. We don't have ghosting turned on for Zulu Online Racing, with some exceptions, Hungary not being one of them. So when you overtake drivers, when the leaders are overtaking or blue flags or anything like that, you really got to overtake them. But he is pulling into the pits now. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him just retire from the session. Yeah, I got so he's picked up a penalty for speeding into the pit lane, and there he goes. So tough start from him, and being almost a full lap down already, that makes sense. It's going to hurt Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. They were third going into this race, and does not look like they are going to be able to move up unless something is to happen with both Red Bulls and both Williams, because they're 1 and 2 in our Constructors' standings respectively. So not sure what happened there, but not a lot going on right now. Looks like J. Cole is as close as anybody. He's right on the back of Barton. Up at the front, gaps are really starting to form for over a second. So yeah, wherever you are right now, it's likely where you're going to be towards the end of this race. Packer, if you haven't watched any of Tier 1's races, has a lot of pace, but remember, he is a reserve, so his points will not be counting in this championship. But both of those guys, J. Cole and Packer, you have to feel are out of position based off of the pace that they have. J. Cole for missing qualifying and Packer not qualifying as a reserve. And Packer trying to go down the inside of JXW. Just looks like he might have picked up a little bit of front wing damage. He's going to want to be extra careful that he doesn't do anything to ruin one of the full-time drivers' race. But see if either one of them take a dive into turn 1. Nothing going yet, so like I said, it's difficult to overtake here, even on the best of circumstances. When it gets rainy, almost impossible to get a good enough exit off that final corner to beat anybody into turn 1. But looking ahead, Packer all over the back of JXW. He's just not, you can see here, there's just nowhere for him to overtake right as he closes up. There's a fast corner where the downforce just is stripped away from the turbulent air, but you can see J. Cole's got a gap of about what Packer does right now. Quite the train forming here from the JXW is leading. He's got Packer, who's only basically right behind him. He's going to take a dive now. He tried it last lap. Is he going to be able to do it here? No, a little bit of a lockup. He just has to back out of it and make a little bit of contact. Don't think any driver is going to have too much damage from that. JXW does have the inside for this left-hander. Looking further down, J. Cole was not able to get by Barton. That gap is still about 2/10, but you can see here just how difficult it is. It's difficult to get a better release even in the dry there. This would be one of the 2 places where drivers could use DRS. Can't in the rain, and he's taking a dive here and locking up. He makes the corner, and looks like JXW is just going to tuck in behind, so probably JXW looks like he had half a thought about going up the inside. J. Cole not able to get by, but for JX, this might help him just have his smallest amount of race time possible. He might just think the more he battles Packer, the more likely he is to lose time to the guys behind. So if he's able to just let Packer go and not concern himself with defending too much, that might help him overall in the race. And it looks like that's the case because Barton, looks like he's falling back just a little bit. J. Cole's still just behind. Right now, RC is set to finish in that last place position. Up at the front, there's not too much happening. Larkin's still got that gap of about a second, as Puppet Master does put in the fastest lap, though, so he's working to close it. Sweet Demo just kind of chilling in third. Dylan has a lot of track there in fourth. As JXW goes really wide here. JXW has lost 2 positions now. He's lost to Barton and to J. Cole. And that's going to hurt. So just as we were talking about maybe letting, not fight, or maybe not letting anyone by, but not fighting too much, as Adri goes down the inside now. A ton happening here towards the end of the points. Is Adri going to try around the outside? He sticks the nose there, a little bit of a lockup. And he does just as they make contact again. Adri, oh no! Adri has gone off. Looks like he's still in the race, but we have a full course safety car. I'm not sure who's retired to cause the safety car. It looks like Beck. So Beck has just gone off there. Oh no. Beck has just gone off that exit there, as we'll see. We'll follow as Adri goes through there. This exit here is where Beck lost it. Must have just gotten onto the curb, but all the action happening there at once, right when I said, oh, we're kind of starting to settle down, especially at the front. We got a retirement, and then the end of that points field is just coming alive. I'm not sure what's happening up at the front. Larkin's choosing to go into the pits here, so as Puppet Master has gotten a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car, that is going to cost him dearly. Especially now as Larkin has come in to fit a fresh set of intermediate tires. Demma has pit as well. Dylan has pit as well. This rain must be sticking around for a while if these guys are switching on to inters. Generally, if you start the race on inters, you don't ever need to switch to full wets, just because the track, the dry line is usually there. I mean, obviously exceptions to that, but you can sometimes switch to full wets. But generally, if you start on inters, you'll switch to inters again. You don't generally need to go to the full wets. But what the safety car has done up front has allowed J. Cole and Packer to gain a lot of the track position that they might have otherwise had. So like I said, both of them out of position at the back of the grid for different reasons, but now able to get back to where they might more naturally be on pace. So a scene we're familiar with, the Red Bulls and Williams fighting up at the front. Dylan has just lost that position. Let's pull up the pit stops and see. Yep, Zwiedema and Dylan have stopped though. Larkin, I'll tell you, is in an incredible position right now. His teammate, Puppet Master, he's going to have a drive-through penalty that he won't be able to serve under the safety car, so he's going to have to wait till they go green again. He's going to come into the pits now anyway. I believe that'll just be for a tire change. I don't think he's able to serve his penalty right now. I might be mistaken. Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to come in and change his tires, so he should have to stop or go through the pit lane again to serve that penalty. So he does probably the wise thing to go ahead and get the fresh tires now, because he's going to be at the back of the grid anyway after he serves that penalty. So losing those positions now doesn't really hurt him anything. But I'll tell you, Larkin is in a very nice position. Out in first, has already stopped. Packer and J. Cole behind him have both been on those intermediate tires, so taking him 25 laps to the end, I don't know. I'm not sure if Larkin will have to stop again or not. I'm not sure if this rain's going to get a lot worse and they might have to switch to full wets. And that doesn't generally happen, but it could. Or if this rain's going to ease up and they'll switch to dry tires. So a lot of the strategy with this race up at the front now for Packer and J. Cole, I'm sure they'll be furiously asking Jeff about the weather to see if it's going to stick around. As Puppet Master's picked up a 5-second time penalty for a severe collision. So we have seen those sorts of time penalties be removed in the past, those kind of safety car time penalties, especially if it's not, you know, affecting anything. So we'll just have to see about that. But yeah, I'm sure Packer and J. Cole are just going to be asking furiously about the weather to see if things are going to get worse or better, and see if they can maybe take a risk there that will help them, because I would think they'll need to stop again. And Larkin might even need to as well. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how long the inters will last around here, but yeah, looking down the rest of the field, Puppet Master looks like he's pulling into the pits. I don't think he's going to be able to serve his penalty now, so I'm not sure if he's retiring or what. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But or if he broke his front wing and is just putting on another set of inters and changing his front wing. Oh, he's serving that 5-second penalty, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing. I'll have to wait and see after the race, but safety car is still out, which is surprising. We've had it for a few laps now. I would hope it would be in this lap. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Rain's continuing to come down, so clearly the rain must be sticking around for a while. Otherwise, you might have seen someone take the risk of going to slick tires, but it looks like the rain's here to stay, at least for this part of the race. About a third of the way through, already had 3 retirees, so a lot of as what's happened to Packer, he's had an off, so not sure what's happened to Packer, but he has gone off track and is right now down at the end of the field. The stops and positions kind of indicator there on the left was going crazy. I wasn't sure what was happening. And it's like Packer must have had some kind of spin, and safety car is in this lap, so we will follow the action up at the front. But that has changed the fabric at the front of this race as well. As now it's all these that reserve has been taken out of the mix right now. But J. Cole, starting from the back of the grid, has already moved his way up to second. He hasn't stopped yet, so we'll get that stop. Let's get the tires turned on. Maybe that'll help. But J. Cole, who, like I said, has started at the back, now up at the front. I wonder if he and Zudema will play some team games here, depending on how their pace is. But up at the front, Larkin got a very good release. We've got a yellow flag. Looks like Bag of Bones might have had some incident on the safety car restart, so we'll have to keep a look out for that. Barton going very wide there. We're having all sorts of positions being swapped here, as Adri looks like he might be taking a move around the outside. Up ahead, Fuzz going a little bit wide, understeering into Barton, and now Barton is coming out wide. Fuzz looks like he's gained that position. Barton is falling back, so not a great race safety car restart from either Racing Point, as Fuzz has gained that position. He's up in the 7th. Looking down, Adri goes a little bit wide there, keeps it within track limits as he's looking to catch up RC7. Puppet Master and Packer just gaining those positions from Bag of Bones, who's had a tough restart. We see quite the train forming here, even though we've got space out in front, as Larkin has already pulled a 2.5 second gap to J. Cole, so those fresh intermediate tires really working for him, as Udema is trying to hold off Dylan. But back here we've just got a train going, and it was a big lockup there from JXW, but he looks like he's really struggling for grip. as a lot of drivers are probably right now. But a lot of happening as Fuzz almost has a spin. Recent drivers go up and down. This safety car has given new life to some of these drivers. Fuzz, who had spun and was further down the field, now back up into 7th and is on track for some solid points here. As Puppet Master is going into the pits now, so he looks like he's serving his drive-through penalty. Yep, I didn't see him stop in the pit box, so wise to get that done now in case there is another safety car, which could happen. Another safety car of VSC that might help him just claw back some points in this race. We'll have to watch Puppet Master closely, 1, to see what his pace is like, and then 2, to see if he maybe takes any of those risks of switching tires. You know, he's in a position now where he's really got nothing to lose in this race. So we could see him take some strategy risks. Yeah, up at the front, Larkin is really extended from the two Williams. Like I said, we'll see if there's any team orders here that they pull. I don't know if they're in a party or anything, but if I'm Zwiedema, I'm saying, come on, man, I've got fresh tires. Let me go and close this gap because you're not able to match his pace right now. We'll see if J. Cole agrees, or maybe Zwiedema's worried about his own pace, and J. Cole is leading the pack there. So we'll also Dylan's just close enough though that J. Cole might say, let's just stay 2nd and 3rd, because if I give you the position, I might slip to 4th. We don't want to let Dylan in there. Zamoglis, who had dropped a couple positions at the beginning, is worked his way back up to 5th, so good stuff from him. Adri loses that position to Packer. Looking further ahead, RC is right on the end of this kind of group of 3, and he looks like he's got some pretty good pace at the moment. And he has pitted as Adri's gone out of the session, so Adri is off, and we have a VSC, so I'm not sure what happened with Adri. It looks like the exit of that fast right-hander. We're on board with Puppet Master now to maybe see on the left there, Adri, you can see, so it looks like he must have just had an off and has gone around, so we've got a little bit of a race of attrition here as we've had 4 retirees in only 14 laps, so at this rate we might only finish with 7 or 8 drivers, but we'll have to just see. What that's meant is, for our full-time drivers, which is everyone here except Packer, you've got a really good chance of getting even a couple points if you can just stay in the race. So where if we had a full grid of 20 and Puppet Master was down in 15th now, it might be tough for him to justify staying in the race, but he's going to still get at least a couple points, which will help. But we do see Bag of Bones going into the pits there. Our Packer's going into the pits, so I'm not sure if he's retiring or changing a wing or what, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Up at the front, Zwiedema is still close to his teammate, not able to get by yet. Looking down the rest of the field, Barton is very close to the back of Fuzz. We'll see if he just decides to make a move now. Is he gonna? He almost did. He thought about making a lunge up the inside as Adri's left the session. Unfortunate race for him. This battle between like P7 to P11 has been really close all race. Unfortunately, we've lost Beck and Adri from that battle. We lost Ted on the opening lap, Jin at a couple laps after that. And then Adri just a moment ago is a yellow flag in Sector 1. That looks like it's Packer. Didn't know he just boxed. I wonder what is happening with him. He looks like he's back up and running now. But a tough race from him, the reserve driver. Barton now still thinking about a move on Fuzz. We're following along here. It's really one of the closest battles we have, as the Williams have swapped positions up at the front. As Barton now has just gone off. And he's lost a couple positions, so all of it happening here at once, and he's gone wide. So these wet weather conditions are really challenging, and now he's slotted in behind his teammate. But we did see the Williams just swap positions. Wasn't sure if that was planned or if that was just the pace they got, but J. Cole has been still on the tires he started the race on, so they are going to be struggling a little bit to find grip here. But unfortunate for Barton, he looked like he had some really solid pace, and then just that little mistake on traction there cost him as he got into the grass, and then out of rhythm for the next left-hander and ran wide. So these little mistakes can really be costly, and that's a great example of how you go from battling for P7 to now you're down just barely in the points in P10. So tough. Larkin up at the front is just flying, just set a new fastest lap, and he's got a gap of 8 seconds. So he is really enjoying these wet weather conditions at the moment. He's got some really solid pace right now. Let's take a look further down. Looks like the next closest battle we have is RC on Fuzz. So Barton coming into the pits. I'm not sure if he lost some front wing there. Looks like he was held for quite a while, so he might just be getting that new front wing. But as I said before, it's worth him staying in the race just in case he gets a point here or there. Rain's still falling. Doesn't look like it has any sign of stopping. All the drivers we've seen pit the last couple laps have gone to another set of inters, which makes me think the rain's going to stick around for the end of the race. But as we're about the halfway point here, as Barton picks up a 3-second time penalty, as we're about the halfway point here, like I said, a lot of retirees from this race. As Larkin just sets another fastest lap, continuing to show his pace at the moment. He's gained about another 0.2 this lap from his redemo in J. Cole. So as we're about just over the halfway point now. Yeah, that one safety car, a couple of VSCs, a lot of yellow flags, spins, front wings, everything you would expect from a wet weather race. Surprising number of overtakes for Hungary. I was really expecting kind of a very processional race, but I've been pleasantly surprised. Probably the wet weather played into some mistakes people are making, adding to the action, but there's been some good battles. People have been able to follow really closely, which is, like I said, kind of surprising, but in a good way. RC is really close to Fuzz. About any other track, save for maybe Singapore or Monaco or Vietnam, you would expect him to maybe have found an opportunity to get by, but as is the nature of Hungary, it's a little bit challenging at times. But he's still within that half a second. That's really where you need to be, is right around half a second in order to have a chance going into a braking zone. But Larkin is just flying. That gap was just over 8 seconds. Now it's almost 9.5, so he is just checked out up at the front. He's just in a league of his own today. His teammate Puppet Master, I think, I saw set the fastest lap a minute ago. I don't know if it's still fastest, but RC just dropping back a little bit here. Just goes to show how tough it is to stay that close to a driver in front. You can close up for a corner or two, maybe even most of a lap, but lap after lap after lap. It's so challenging to stay really close within that half a second to the driver in front. So you really got to pick your opportunities. He gets a little bit of a wobble there. Looks like he's doing pretty good on battery. Just we'll pull that up as a way to see what everybody's doing. Fuzz looks like he's got a lot of it, so he might be just using that very sparingly along the main straight, and maybe a little bit of long straights like here. But generally in these sort of rainy races, you don't actually want to be using all that much of your battery just because it contributes so much to wheel spin. It can be really hard to get any traction, so really it's only down the straights like this that you would use it, as we can see a lot of drivers doing that right now. Like I said, just because it gets so hard to control the traction if you have that much extra power going to wheels. RC running wide there. We'll just maybe Bag of Bones is thinking about having to dive up the inside, but it looks like he recovered as pretty well. So about this is more of what I expected from this race. Just these kind of stable gaps and no one really able to make inroads. We do have a couple of drivers out of position on pace. This Puppet Master, as you know, in pole position. Picked up that drive-through penalty into the safety car, which has not forced him out of the points just because of how few drivers and how many retirees we've had today. He still is able to get some points today, but definitely not fighting where we're used to seeing him up at the front. All over the back of Bag of Bones, who's had a couple mistakes today. Puppet Master eager for another one of those so he can get by and start picking off some more drivers. We've seen a good number of time penalties. I think Dylan has 3 seconds. RC just picked up a time penalty. I want to say JXW also has one, I could be mistaken. This sort of traction zone right here just so challenging. Looks like he got a really good run though. Bag of Bones is using overtake, but just doesn't have an answer for that pace. Is he going to try to get him back into the next corner? He tries to switch back, and he gets it pretty well. He's not going to have as good a traction there on the dry line, but as they're going into the braking zone, it is Puppet Master who just dives ahead again. So he was able to take the inside for both of those corners, and Bag of Bones just could not hold him off. Looking ahead, Fuzz, who has been under pressure quite a bit in this race from, it was, I think, Barton, or one of the racing points behind. Who's feeling a lot of pressure from the racing point, and a lot of pressure from RC. Now starting to apply some pressure on Zamaglis, so probably good for his race if he can take off some of the pressure from behind by putting pressure on the driver in front. Which is Zamaglis, who I believe qualified P4 and then dropped to P6 as we see Larkin come into the pits. So he goes to another set of intermediate tires. That just tells me that he's maybe not thinking he's going to make those last from lap 10 to the end. So I wonder if that will trigger anybody else to pit. Kind of surprised Jake has been able to do 21 laps. Granted, a few of those were under the safety car, but 21 laps on these tires. Starting with that heavy fuel at the beginning, so I'm a little bit surprised to see Larkin pitting, just because you would think if you can do 21 laps with heavy fuel, you could do 25 laps with lighter fuel, but clearly Larkin has pace today, so he might be thinking he can still overtake all these drivers. And when he knows that J. Cole's going to need to pit probably. Let's just be counting on each of the other drivers making another pit stop as well. So, like I said, slightly interesting decision that he chose to blink first and not wait till drivers behind him. We've got a huge train now forming with JXW. Zamaglis is closed up to him. Fuzz. Puppet Master RC goes wide. Bag of Bones follows him wide. As Puppet Master's now going up the inside of Fuzz. Fuzz holding his position, but just had to concede. Didn't look like he got the traction he needed, as Dylan now has come into the pits, has picked up a 5-second penalty, so that is going to cost him dearly. As we see JXW also diving into the pits, so Zamaglis now at the head of that train. Puppet Master very close. Just riding on board with Fuzz, thought this would give us the best angle of that battle up front, but looks like Zamaglis is on relatively similar tires to Puppet Master, but just looks like he's struggling a little bit more for pace. Might be conserving fuel. You can see his fuel light on there, so he might just be running a lot of lean. Generally, if there's full wet race like this, you want to underfuel the car, because running lean will actually help you with traction. Kind of counterintuitive to turn the engine down to make you go faster, but it works just because it helps get that much more traction. So I'm not surprised to see him with that yellow fuel indicator, because he probably underfueled the car knowing he would be running a lot of lean through a lot of the corners and traction zones, because it does help you get that much better grip. But I was just sticking on here. We haven't seen either of the Williams up front box yet, so each of them feeling confident on their older inter tires. 14 laps for Z. Done that 23 laps from the start of the Grand Prix for Joe Cole. You got to think now would be a pretty good time to pit. Maybe they just don't want to get caught up in this train. But the time's going to wind down. That advantage of the fresh tires is going to go away. We've seen Larkin close to J. Cole pretty quickly. I'm not surprised, because J. Cole, like I said, has been on those tires for a while. Zamaglis has gone wide, and now, or Puppet Master has gone wide, and now he and Zamaglis are going side by side. Puppet Master just had to back out of it, so it looked like they were close to a break at the front of this train, but as Puppet Master, he's going to try up the inside into the chicane. Really hard to go side by side there. They do, as they are bumping wheels. Still, they're going side by side. So Maglish now trying to hold it around the outside. He goes a little bit wide. I think that'll be within track limits, and Puppet Master just gets ahead. So, wow, really tight there in the midfield. Looks like RC goes wide again at that fast right. Larkin setting the fastest lap. He's cut that lap, or that gap to J. Cole down by just about a second this lap. He is flying. I think J. Cole needs to pit soon, unless he's trying to do the whole race on those tires. Or he's just counting for the track to be dry enough for dry tires. I'm not sure what his move is, but I don't see him holding on to P2. I think Larkin's going to get that move done pretty comfortably based off of the pace we've seen from him today. Yeah, but this train is just crazy, all the way from Puppet Master in 4th down to Bag of Bones in 8th. Dylan not far behind. We know that he's had some really strong pace today. He's been running further up, so yeah, just anything can happen here. Larkin now starting to close up to the back of J. Cole. That gap was about 2 seconds a couple of laps ago, and now it's down to that half a second. So see if maybe into into turn 1 here he tries it. Like I said, they're just nose to tail from 4th to about 8th. RC and Fuzz are the closest at the moment, but let's go ahead and look up at Larkin and see if he's going to try and make a move on J. Cole. Is he going to think about trying to into turn 1 or trying to turn 2? He's not close enough here. He's going to have to brake. Try and find another day as we wait to see him now approaching turn 3. He's going to try to go down the inside. No, he's just going to have to back out of it again. So J. Cole now maybe trying to play a little bit of a block for his teammate to extend that gap, as maybe Zwiedema, my guess, is probably going to be trying to extend to the end now. He's seen his teammate go 25 laps from the start. That's about what he's going to have to do to go to the end, so... So close at the moment between these two, but as you can see, it's just Larkin, who has the fresher tires and has had the pace all day, just not able to get by. It's such a challenge around this circuit. As we've seen already, really, you can close up to the back of someone and form a train, but there's really no way to get by unless they make a mistake. Barton has retired. Looks like he had an issue in Sector 2, and I would be really surprised now. Yeah, I was going to say, I would be really surprised if J. Cole did not take this opportunity to pit. But he should be able to pit under the VSC and come out ahead of Puppet Master. So Puppet Master, who was on pole position, dropped to the back of the field, had the dry food penalty, is now back up in the fourth. So he's done a great job recovering through the field today. J. Cole, who started at the back, is now ahead of him because he had waited the entire Grand Prix until now to pit. So J. Cole, just being really patient on his tires, was able to extend for a very long time. And that VSC working really well for him, about as well as it did for Lewis Hamilton today at Imola. Just came out right when he needed it, and now it's gone. So really good stuff from him. We'll see now, monitor that gap from Larkin to Zwiedema. Larkin, who's had the pace all day, he's got fresher inters. The way he's closing right now, he could be on the back of him with about 4 or 5 laps to go. RC to Fuzz is still the closest battle on track right now, so we'll follow along with this. I was saying, you can see the trains forming here at Hungary, and especially in the rain, but really, unless someone makes a mistake, it's very, very hard to get by. So all you can do is just put pressure on your opponent and try and force them into a mistake, but really, unless they make that mistake, it's so hard to get by. You're going to have the kind of pace that Larkin does, pretty much, to get by just about anybody. Bag of Bones is just close up to the back of this battle as well, so once again, the train is there, just no overtakes happening. So right now, every full-time driver is set to get at least 1 point, so we will probably at this point come spin or pit stop, no matter what happens, they should carry on and at least get that point. They've only got 7 more laps to do it. Larkin flying at the moment. He's got a lot of pace. He's gained by almost half a second this lap, so he should be up to the back of Zwiedema with, like I said, should be arriving with about 4 or 5 laps to go, which might be enough time. We'll just have to wait and see. Right now, any mistake from Zamaglis or Fuzz, who are running 5th and 6th respectively, any mistake, any off, any running wide, any troubles with traction or half spins, they're going to cost you 3 or 4 positions, as is the tightness of this midfield. But up at the front, Larkin has closed that gap to under a second, so we will follow along with him. He's got the huge tire advantage and has had the pace all day. His gap was, I believe, over 10 seconds at one point, so he's got the pace. Just can he make the overtake now when it counts? Both drivers pitting under the safety car that came out lap 10. Larkin choosing to pit again about 6 laps ago. So splitting the difference to the end of the race. You would have to, my money would have to be on Larkin here to make this overtake. Just knowing his pace, knowing what he's been able to do today, the gap he was able to create. So you gotta favor him to get by, but as we've done, there's no stranger to leading the Grand Prix here. So he should be able to stand up to the pressure, but Larkin's just got so much pace today. Larkin does have just enough time to be patient if he wants to charge up his battery, if he wants to... he doesn't need to, you know, it's not last lap, he doesn't need to make any sort of desperate lunge yet. He can just about bide his time for a couple laps and see if he's going to get close enough. But we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. It looks like it's Dylan. So not sure what happened with him, but the Renault of Dylan... slow. Looks like there might have been an issue with pit entry. Oh my gosh, yeah, he's lost his front wing on pit entry and is retired. So it looks like the AI not quite sure what to do with his car at the moment. He's blocking the pit entry. Thankfully it's just a VSC, not a full safety car, but that's a struggle. What that's going to do is just allow Zwiedema to charge his battery and save a little bit of fuel if he needs to. Doesn't look like he needs to, but we're going green now, so very short safety car, or VSC rather. Flashbacks to Kevin Magnussen in Italy this year, just blocking the pit lane entry. But thankfully it was just a VSC, not a red flag. Larkin just... Zwiedema is able to hold this off for the remaining 4 laps. He's got to be the driver of the day to hold off Larkin, who is leading so much of the race. You got to get him driver of the day. J. Cole's not a bad shout either, recovering from missing qualifying, and Puppet Master recovering from a drive-through penalty to finish 4th would be a fantastic race from him as well. So a great job from every driver in the top 4. Quite frankly, the top 7, 8 drivers have all done really well today. As we can see with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 retirements, very easy to make mistakes that can cost you a race here. So kudos to everyone who's stuck with it and is able to avoid those race-ending mistakes thus far. But yeah, especially the top 4 drivers, hard to take a pick for driver of the day. Puppet Master, like I said, just got that drive-through penalty, which cost him a lot. J. Cole was able to just play the waiting game and timed that VSC perfectly, so he stayed out, I think it was 22, 23 laps in the end. Well, more than that, because he's only on 3-lap old tires, so he was able to stay out for about 27 laps for a VSC and pit from there, so... Back down the field, Packer has gotten by a bag of bones. This is where Larkin had pace on Zwiedema a few laps ago. He seems to be getting a lot better exit there. Fortunately, that left-hander is almost impossible to overtake, but this right is not. And he's right on the back of him now. I wonder if he'll take a lunge into the chicane. Zwiedema stays on the racing line, and Larkin just tucks in behind, so such close driving here from our race leaders. And yeah, Larkin doesn't have to make a lunge yet. He's still got a little bit of time to stay patient, but each corner that passes is going to be putting just a little bit more pressure on Larkin to get this move done. Ooh, as he brakes way late there, almost goes into the back as Zwiedema. Had to go to the left there, and it's cost him about 0.6 of a second as Dylan, who retired a few laps ago, has left the session. But yeah, Larkin just about went into the back of him. Had to swerve to the left. That cost him about half a second. And so he's going to have some work to do here. Putting even more pressure on himself. So, and to make matters worse, he's got J. Cole just setting fastest laps behind him. Down the field, RC just about a half a second, 4/10 from Fuzz. So we'll leave this battle temporarily to see if RC is going to do anything. It looks like right as we switched to him, he had a little bit of trouble with traction. Bold of RC to switch up to overtake before he gets fully on the gas there. And you can see just how risky that is. Larkin very close to the back as we demo. Seems to be a lot faster here through the second sector. Probably a combination of tires, and I wonder if it's the setup is running too. It's just a little bit friendlier for this wet weather, but we'll see if he's able to avoid his previous mistakes. But with just one sector and then 2 laps to go, he's gonna have to make his move here pretty soon. You can see it took him that entire lap to gain back that about half a second, 6/10 that he lost. So Dema's just getting not great exits, but just good enough exits. As J. Cole pumps in another fastest lap, we've got a yellow flag through Sector 2. That looks like it's RC who's gone wide, and now Bag of Bones challenging him into the beginning of the third sector. But we are not going to look away from this potential battle for, or this battle for what could be the race lead. This is where Larkin just has so much pace. He's got to try it into the chicane here, surely. I don't think it's going to happen in turn 1. He's going to have to get creative and try it somewhere else on the track. They're going to round out these final 2 corners in the third sector. Start the last lap of the Grand Prix. It's got to be all or nothing now. So I said Larkin could be patient earlier. Can't afford to be patient now. He gets a good exit. I wonder if this is going to be his moment. As we start the final lap, is Larkin going to try it around the outside? Is he going to try to switch back? We'll have to wait and see. As Dema gives him the space on the outside. He's going to try the switch back as Dema just struggles for grip a little bit, but he has that dry line on the left. And he goes off. So as Dema is just, don't know what's happened, if he's maybe got a, doesn't look like he has a puncture, but just looks like he has absolutely no grip left on those 25 lap old tires, and Larkin has taken the lead of the Grand Prix on the final lap. Is Dema, who is coming home in P2, and you can just see there how much he's struggling for grip. You can see the pace that Larkin has. He's pulled 2.5 seconds already in the span of just about a sector. Further down, Packer does get by Fuzz. We'll follow along here. It looks like, unless there's disaster that just cut out there for a moment. He does going into the chicane. Crossing the line, it is going to be Larkin taking P1's Dema, who put up a great fight holding it off for P2. J. Cole's going to come home in third. Great race from him, finished on the podium, starting last on the grid. Puppet Master should, like I said, barring any spins or failures, has to be set a great recovery drive from him. Getting that drive-through penalty under the safety car to come back and finish fourth is a very, very good drive, as he just has a little bit of a drift around the final corner. but a great race from him. Fantastic recovery. Packer's going to finish P5. The reserves and Moglis is going to come home P6. But after penalties, that's going to be P5 for Zamoglis and P6 for Fuzz. So great race from them. RC showed great pace today. Unfortunately, just had a couple of mistakes here and there. He's going to be P10 today. So yeah, J. Cole has to be driving today for me. Tough between J. Cole and Larkin, but to come from the back of the grid and finish on the podium is quite an achievement. But Larkin, got to be said, deserved the race victory today. He had an incredible pace and showed it, being able to make that extra pit stop and still make those final 2 overtakes for the race victory. So good job from him. No stranger to seeing him or the Williams on the podium. So it's Larkin the race victory. Zuidem is going to come home P2. J. Cole, who started 16th, finishes on the podium. And he got that extra point for fastest lap. Puppet Master P4, Zamoglis in P5, Fuzz in P6, Bag of Bones P7, Packer P8, JX P9, RC P10, rounding out the points. Dylan in P11, and then Barton, our final finisher. Or no, sorry, Dylan did not end up finishing the race, so it was RC, our final finisher. Then we had Dylan, Barton, Adri, Beck, Jinnit, and Ted all retire. So a little bit of a race of attrition here in the wet at Hungary. But to go 35 laps around here and avoid retiring, especially in the rain, is quite an achievement. So congratulations to all those drivers who were able to do that. Very exciting race, and pretty much every time it got to be a bit dull, it got spicy again. So great race from these guys. We'll see you next week for round 14 at Spa.